Question 1. Can you tell me a little about yourself?
Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1. Don't just give your life story. The truth is the interviewer isn't interested in it. Unless you are specifically asked to give your life story. Stick to your current situation, career, and education.
Tip 2. Don't give your interviewer your complete personal or employment history. You want to pitch yourself. Give one that is compelling and concise, that shows why you're the perfect person for this job.
Tip 3. Keep your answers short and sweet. Keep on point and don't talk about personal likes, hobbies, or any dislikes.
Tip 4. Begin with 2 or 3 specific experiences or accomplishments that you want your interviewer to know about. Then finish it up by talking about how your prior experiences have prepared you for this certain role.
Tip 5. To answer this, talk about what you have done in order to prepare yourself to be the best for this job. Use 1 or 2 examples to back it up and then ask if they want more details. If they do, then give them plenty of examples of your experience and background.
Tip 6. Connect your experience with why you have applied for this job opportunity.
Tip 7. Only give positive statements. Sell your experiences and skills as a benefit.
Part B. Steps to answer. Step 1. Introduce briefly about yourself. Name, age, education, major subject, education ranking.
Step 2. Present the experience you get when working in the most recent 2 to 3 companies. And what are the benefits of that experience for new job?
Step 3. Demonstrate the skills, qualities that can meet the requirements of employers. Do not ever think that employers will find out what qualities you fit their job. You should tell your employer that you have what qualities they are looking for.
Step 4. Present the employer why you are applying for this company.
Step 5. Interview your employer. Ask employers the information that you are interested, and especially make employers believe that you really are interested in this job.
Question 2. Why are you leaving your last job?
Employers ask this question to get a clearer picture of who you might be as an employee, and the circumstances of your departure from your last job, but they can always check that with your references.
They're also asking this to determine if you're someone who might not stay long enough with the company after you've been trained.
Part A. Tips to answer.
Tip 1. Never get tricked into talking bad about a colleague or employer.
Tip 2. Don't mention money at this part, or you may seem like you are a mercenary.
Tip 3. If you already have a job, then say it is about developing your career and yourself as a person.
Tip 4. If you were part of a downsized company, keep positive and short.
Tip 5. If you happen to be fired, then you need a good explanation. Whatever the circumstances were, don't talk about the drama and stay positive.
Tip 6. Avoid stating that you are looking for a new challenge if you can't back it up, because the interviewer will dig deeper.
Part B. Sample answers.
Sample 1. I'd love to be a part of product development from start to finish, and I know that I would have that opportunity here.
Sample 2. I'm looking for a job that has more responsibility.
Sample 3. I left my last job because I wanted to spend more time with my family. I'm now ready to go back to work full-time. Question 3. What is your greatest weakness?
Part A. Tips to answer.
Tip 1. Never deny that you don't have weaknesses. Everyone has them, and if you refuse to admit that you have weaknesses to your interviewer, then they will most likely write down that you're lacking in self-awareness, arrogant, or untruthful.
Tip 2. Be completely honest, but end on / a positive note.
Tip 3. Explain that you're happy to take on more training to develop your skills.
Tip 4. Show how you have managed to turn your weaknesses into strengths, e.g., education or training, and use your strengths to reduce the impact of your weaknesses.
Tip 5. We all have weaknesses. Just thinking about how they might affect the impression of you to your interviewer before you say anything. Part B. How to answer. Many career books will tell you to pick a strength and present it as a weakness. Like, I work way too much. I just work until I get told to stop. Wrong. This is a big no-no. First, when you use a strength and present it as a weakness, it's deceiving. Second, it misses the whole point of the question.
You need to pick a weakness that you have actually been working on to overcome. Like, I have had trouble with planning and prioritization, but I am now starting to correct this. I just started using a pocket planner.
Part C. Sample answer. My biggest weakness is having very little to no patience when coworkers withhold vital information to ruin the success of the assignment. I have tried to really maximize knowledge sharing by bringing co-workers together before any assignment to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Yet, there have been times where people withheld information after these efforts. It is these times that I have learned to privately speak with that person in order to understand why the information was withheld. Question 4. What is your greatest strength? You should have already mentioned your main weaknesses and strengths in your cover letter or CV. In order to answer a question like this, just go over what is written in your resume. Although, be prepared to back up your answers with examples.
This gives you a chance to launch your unique selling points, or 3 to 4 key strengths. Be sure to keep in mind the job requirements and compare these with your attributes, like your skills, abilities, experience, and personality. Where they match is where you need to consider them to be major strengths.
Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1. Share your true strengths and not those that you believe your interviewer wants to hear.
Tip 2. Choose strengths that are targeted to this job.
Tip 3. Give specific strengths. Instead of using people skills, use relationship building or persuasive communication.
Tip 4. Follow up with an example of how you have demonstrated these in a professional setting.
Part B. Sample answers. Sample 1. I was told that I am ethical, honest, and reliable.
Sample 2. I am flexible enough to handle changing environments.
Sample 3. My sense of urgency. If I know that a task is important, then I will work my hardest to get it done on time.
Sample 4. Able to cope with any setback and learn from my mistakes. Question 5. Where do you see yourself being in 3 to 5 years from now? Your interviewer is wanting you to display that you have really thought about your future, your ambition to really progress in your selected industry. They also want you to be able to verify that this isn't just a time-filling position. If you get asked this question, be specific, as well as honest about your future goals. But ensure that you are considering that a hiring manager will want to know. 1. If you have set a realistic expectation for your career. 2. If you have ambitions. 3. If the position is aligned with your growth and goals. Your best bet is to really think about where the position will or could take you and answer along those lines.
Part A. Tips to answers. Tip 1. Try and avoid general or vague answers like, I would expect to be in a management position by then, or I would hope to grow with the responsibility that I'm offered, and to really develop my skills as far as I can.
Tip 2. Talk about your interest in the industry of the company. Emphasize the value that you would bring to the organization, and what you can do for it.
Tip 3. Show that you are ambitious, but have realistic goals. Saying that you expect to be senior manager after 3 years won't go well.
Tip 4. Be specific, but very flexible. Your interviewer wants to know what you want. Hiring, training, and then developing staff can cost a lot of money. Around $9,000 in order to recruit a new graduate. So they want to ensure that you are really committed to staying with their company.
Tip 5. This question is one that will let you demonstrate that you have done your research in the career paths that are open to you within the company. Try to be more specific.
Part B. Sample answers. Sample 1. That actually depends on how well I perform in my job and what career opportunities come my way. The bottom line is that I want to have improved my skill sets and to continue making an ongoing contribution to any company that I may be working for.
Sample 2. In 5 years, I plan to have improved my abilities and become the leader in my field. This means that I can contribute more to my employer and their company. Question 6. Why should we hire you? This is one of the most important questions that you have to answer carefully. This is your chance to really stand out and bring attention to your skills, especially the ones that haven't been addressed.
Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1. You should cover these 3 things. You can not only do the work, but you are able to deliver amazing results. You can fit in with the culture and team, and that you are a better hire than any other person.
Tip 2. Stating that you need a job or are just really good won't make the break.
Tip 3. Explain why you would make a great employee, why you would fit perfectly for the job and company, and what you have to offer.
Tip 4. Don't speculate about the other candidates and their flaws or strengths. Ensure that you are focused on you.
Tip 5. Keep it short and sweet, but be sure to highlight your achievements.
Part B. Sample answers. Sample 1. My skills in sales seemed to fit this job perfectly. My success at XYZ in achieving an annual growth rate of 35% support this. I have worked with similar product lines and have a full in-depth understanding of all of the technical aspects. My experience as a member of a large team will help to contribute to your department, and I am very enthusiastic about new challenges that will be involved in this position. Question 7. What do you know about this organization? Your interviewer wants to know if you did your research about all the job requirements and the company that you applied to. Remember, if you don't have knowledge about the company, it will be noticeable within the first few words of your answer.
Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1. Doing the background work will make you stand out. Find out who the main people are. Were they in the news lately?
Tip 2. Demonstrate that you have researched the company. Know the products, the firm size, the reputation in the industry, values, and history.
Tip 3. You don't have to know every date in person, but you need a good understanding of the company.
Tip 4. Allow your interviewer to tell you more about the company. Be sure to pay attention.
Tip 5. Begin with one line that shows you understand the goals of the company, using key phrases and words from the company site. But then make it personal, such as I really believe in this approach because, or I'm personally drawn to this mission because.
Part B. Sample answers. Sample 1. This company has a great reputation for amazing customer service.
Sample 2. Your company's products are the highest rated in the industry.
Sample 3. Your company was awarded a commendation for the help that you gave to hurricane victims. Question 8. Why do you want this job? This is basically the same thing as why do you want to work here? Why did you apply for this job? And why do you want to work for our company? Companies want to hire those who are passionate about the job. So you need to have a great answer about why you want this job.
Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1. Try to find a specific feature that the company prices themselves on. Training, client base, public image, individuality, etc.
Tip 2. Talk about their needs and explain what you can do for them. It's not about what you want here.
Tip 3. Show them you want to be a part of their success story by helping them to achieve their goal and meet their challenges.
Tip 4. Tie in your knowledge of them into the interests and skills that lead you to apply.
Tip 5. Demonstrate that you have researched the company.
Part B. Steps to answer. Step 1. Identify a few key factors that make the role perfect for you, such as I love customer support because of the consistent human interaction and the satisfaction from helping people solve issues.
Step 2. Then talk about why you love the company, such as I have always been really passionate about education and I believe you guys are doing great things. And I want to be a part of it.
Part C. Sample answers. Sample 1. After researching your company, I have learned that it is an industry leader and has an amazing reputation. I was also really impressed by the mission statement of the company, as well as the values and culture. I strongly feel that your company is where I would like to work and be associated with.
Sample 2. There is only a limited number of opportunities for advancement with my current employer, which is why I am very set on working for a larger corporation such as yours, where I would have more possibilities to show what I am able to do. Question 9. Let's talk about salary. What are you looking for? This tends to be a tricky question for many. And when it comes to an interview, it can be a dangerous situation. Talking salary prior to being sure you have made an impression is a mistake that is commonly made. When in negotiation, there is power in knowledge.
When it comes to responding, the number one thing to remember is to do your research before the interview. That's right. Prepare for the question just in case. You can use sites such as Glassdoor and PayScale to get an idea of what the low, median and high pay rate is for the position you're applying for. It's recommended to answer with the highest number in the range you come up with based on your level of education, experience, and skills. You also want the hiring manager to know you're open for negotiations.
Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1. Don't ignore the question. There are employers and hiring managers that will automatically deny a follow-up on any application or interview where the applicant skipped questions. So be sure not to ignore them. This isn't the part where you want to be stubborn because the interviewer could see you as being a hassle and move on to the next applicant.
Tip 2. Don't be too specific. Remember to be flexible. Your answer is simply a starting point, a suggestion. If you throw out a number that's too high, you could find a quick close to the interview. On the other hand, if you throw out a number that is too low, you could end up earning a salary that's less than you're worth, or need to live on.
Tip 3. Be flexible. This is important. You want to remain flexible at this stage. You may mention that salaries in your past have been between a broad range. You could also let them know that you know the suggested pay rate for the position you're applying for falls into a certain range, such as £20,000 to £30,000.
Tip 4. Defer the question. If you don't believe it's the correct time to talk about the numbers, you could defer the question by stating your pay rate is open for negotiation. You could also state you would prefer to discuss pay in person, or ask the employer to offer a pay rate.
Part 2. Ways to answer. When asked what are your pay rate expectations, there are 3 possible answers. Method 1. Don't answer. While ignoring the question isn't a good thing, there are other ways to avoid answering the question directly. You can state that you would like to know more about the job before getting into the numbers.
Method 2. Give a range. If you are comfortable providing an answer at this stage and you've done your homework, you can provide a salary range. Remember, you can use sites like PayScale to get an average salary range based on the job title, location and education or experience level. After you have begun the negotiation process, you will want to include benefits with your salary calculations as well. Say the employer offers improved health insurance than you currently have. This would be worth it in the long run to take a little less pay.
Method 3. If necessary, give one number. If you have been asked, yet can't provide a range as your answer, then go with a number in the middle of your salary range, possibly lower if you can. In this situation you are aiming to come in under their target rate, not over it.
Question 10. Do you have any questions for us? There's a good chance you understand the interview process is more than a chance for being hired, where the hiring manager can raise your stress levels, but an opportunity to really find out if the job is right for you. Is there anything you would like to know about the job you're applying for, or the company? How about the department or team?
These are all things you are likely to encounter during the interview. So it's a good idea to be prepared with some less common questions as well.
Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1. Remain brief. Remember that there could be other interviewees with appointment times.
Tip 2. Ask questions. You should ask questions about the job position, company, training, and so on. You don't want to start off by asking about holidays off, pension plans, etc.
Tip 3. Prepare questions. You want to be prepared when you go in. Make notes or refer to questions on paper if needed. Not only does this help you get information you may want to know, but also shows you can be prepared.
Tip 4. Use the time wisely. You only have a short amount of time. But if you are able to provide any additional information that the hiring manager may not know already, this is a great time to let them know.
Tip 5. Questions don't have to wait until the end. If a question happens to come up naturally, then ask it. Traditionally, an interview is a conversation, not an interrogation.
Part B. Sample answers. Interviewer. That appears to have covered it all. Unless you have any other questions.
Interviewee. I had made notes to inquire about your training process, but we already went over that. I believe we were able to cover everything at the moment. Thank you.
Part C. List of sample interview questions to ask employers.
1. When looking into the company's near future, what do you believe will be the most difficult challenges to face?
2. What new trends do you believe have an influence on the industry? And how is your company prepared for them?
3. What are you able to tell me about the company's plans for growth?
4. What does your company constitute as success in the current position?
5. What experience and skill sets would make a candidate more ideal?
6. If tomorrow was my first day, what would be top priority on my list?
7. What do you believe would be the largest challenges within this position?
8. How would you explain the company's culture and background? Question 11. Are you a team player? When it comes to the workplace, teamwork is usually an important art of making things run smoothly. Because of this, questions based around teamwork are on top of an interviewer's list. When asking, they will be looking at several areas that show evidence of a good team player.
Usually all interviewees answer yes when asked this question. However, it's not a simple yes or no question. If you answer yes, then you should be able to back your answer with examples of your behavior.
Part A. Team player requirements. 1. The ability to effectively communicate with other team members, co-workers, etc.
2. The ability to notice and understand viewpoints of other team members, co-workers, etc.
3. The ability to acknowledge and appreciate the contribution of your position within the company.
Part B. Sample answers. Sample 1. Yes. I enjoy being a team player and have had many previous opportunities in school and work to gain experience for developing my skills as being a team player. I have been on projects such as ABC.
Sample 2. I have found that working with others helps increase the performance, and it provides better workflow. This helps get the project done on time while keeping everything in motion. An example is a recent project where ABC. Question 12. What is the biggest mistake you have ever made? A. The purpose of this question. With this question, The interviewer is not trying to get you to admit to anything, but to see how you react to the question, how you answer, and how you approach your error, along with the steps you have taken to correct it. There is a lot that can be learned by watching how someone reacts and handles their mistakes.
B. Tips to answer. Remember to always state that you understand where you first went wrong, and that you have learned from your experience. If you can, provide an example of something as far back as possible.
C. Sample answers. Sample 1. If I could go back in time, I would have went for a business studies degree, rather than hospitality. Sample 2. I remained in a stable job for years, but it didn't offer me any opportunities to grow with the company. Question 13. Why is there a gap in your work history? Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1. Avoid giving an answer related to illness, rehabilitation, or unemployment. Even if any of these are because of a recession, it could be seen as high risk to an interviewer.
Tip 2. Remember to remain honest. While they may not deny you over the gap, they just might for being dishonest. If you got laid off, say so.
Tip 3. Nervous about providing an answer. Just keep in mind this is a great chance to build on the trust of the employer. Relax and be honest.
Part B. Steps to answer. 1. Put an emphasis on why you were let go from a previous job.
2. Answers could include something along the lines of the company had to downsize at some point during your employment, or that your position in the company was relocated.
3. Stay positive, even when talking about why you left your previous job.
4. Provide emphasis on any activities you may have done and include them in your gaps to help show professional standings.
Part C. Sample answers. The company went through some downsizing and they had to let several people in my department go. Unfortunately, being one of the last hired, my name was on the list. Nonetheless, I am proud of my position at Company X, and I can provide positive recommendations if needed.
Question 14. Tell me about a problem you have solved. The answer to this question can be rather tricky, and even more challenging if you've never been in the manager's position or a leader with responsibility of some kind. Your answer needs to be resourceful. Show that you have the ability to solve problems and that you have good decision-making skills. Keep it short and simple, but explain how you approach the issue.
Steps to answer. 1. Think back to a time you had an issue.
2. Describe the issue, what the outcome was expected to be, and the solutions that were available.
3. Discuss the people you had to work with, and how they worked together in order to solve the problem as expected.
Question 15. What do you dislike about your last job? Keep in mind when answering this that you do not criticize or answer negatively about the managers, company, or other workers directly. Don't use salary or overtime issues as an answer. You want to use big issues.
Sample answers. Sample 1. It can sometimes be hard for me to gain a sense of any achievement within a large company, such as my current employer.
Sample 2. My current position offers few chance for advancement. Question 16. What has been your greatest achievement? There is nothing out there that screams, "Hire me," more than having a record of achievements for previous jobs where you went above and beyond. Don't hold back. Let your achievements shine.
Tips to answer. Tip 1. Going to college or gaining a degree will not put you apart from the other interviewees.
Tip 2. Your achievements should show evidence of skills related to the job you're applying for.
Tip 3. The STAR method is a great approach. This method includes
1. Start by building up the task that was required to finish. This gives context. 2. Talk about what you did. This is the action. 3. Give the result of what you achieved.
Sample answers. In just a month, I was able to improve the overall process, saving our group more than 10 hours a month spent on invoices, and reduced the overall error margin by 25%.
Question 17. Tell me about any issues you've had with a previous boss. If you let yourself fall for this question, chances are you probably shouldn't be hired. This question is in full force to find out how you refer to your previous boss. The best approach is with diplomacy and tact. If there's nothing positive, remember if you can't say anything nice, develop sudden memory loss. Basically, you have never had an issue with a prior employer.
Keep in mind, if you simply say no, then the interviewer is likely to keep going deeper in order to find some type of conflict. The important part is how you react to the conflict in your behavior, and how you fix the issue.
Sample answer. I've had some previous conflicts, but they weren't major conflicts. There have been a few disagreements, but have learned that it helps to understand the view of the other person in order to come up with a resolution. I listen to the other person's perspective, then figure out how to come up with a solution. For example, ABC. Question 18. Tell me a suggestion you have made that was implemented. Pardon? Answer tips.
Tip 1. The purpose of this question is to see how creative you are, or if you are not at all.
Tip 2. Explain an innovative idea you have had that was approved by a previous boss and how it was applied.
Tip 3. Don't waste time with using average or even good yet still useless ideas.
Part B. Answer samples. There have been several situations at work which have directly affected the performance of me and my co-workers. By improving the workplace and finding a solution for the situation, it helps both me and my co-workers. Because of this, I do not simply take a suggestion as just that, but consider how it can be applied to correct the situation. I pay close attention to details, and when there's a way to improve a situation to save time and nuisances, I speak to the boss about a correction. Question 19. Would you rather work for money or job satisfaction? Obviously, doing it for the money is the wrong answer. It's okay to let them know the money is important, but it's never more important than being satisfied with a job well done. If you go with money, they will see you as just in it for the money.
Answer sample. Good question. It would be nice for the pay rate to equal the work I do, which would play part in my job satisfaction. Also, personal financial issues could affect the job satisfaction too. Assuming both of these are covered, I would prefer to be excited over the work I produce and be content with it when I return home.
Question 20. Has anything ever irritated you about people you've worked with? Naturally, you would have a long list here, but remember, you don't want to let them know this. You never want to show negativity, as it could be seen as you're hard to work with and not worth training. A good answer would be to think, then respond that you've actually gotten along with all of your co-workers. Question 21. What relevant experience do you have? Part A. Tips to answer.
Tip 1. Discuss experience you have in the specific area you are applying for.
Tip 2. Be sure it's relevant.
Tip 3. Don't bring up experiences that are not relevant.
If there are not previous experiences that are relevant, discuss some experiences that have improved your knowledge and skills for the position.
Part B. Top employment experience you'd want to review.
1. Companies you worked for with dates.
2. The positions you've held.
3. Key projects and responsibilities.
4. Achievements.
5. Coursework and continuous education.
6. Expertise.
7. Tools you used, software, hardware.
8. Knowledge of languages.
9. Engagement with customers and key industry leaders.
10. Teamwork you were involved, and your contribution.
Question 22. How are you when you're working under pressure? Yes is generally the best answer to this question, as it's a good thing to possess. Although, by responding that you work the same with or without the pressure, the interviewer may be more impressed.
Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1. Provide many examples when answering. Use situations in your past.
Tip 2. Keep going by explaining how daily tasks were prioritized and how your projects were organized. Then provide problem solving and situations that were critical.
Tip 3. Don't mention any situations where you may have put yourself under stress for no reason.
Tip 4. Don't focus on your stress level. Even though you mention stress happens, it should not be your focal point. Focus more on how you deal with it.
Part B. Sample answers. I prefer working in a challenging environment and work better when under stress. In the world of writing and editing, there's a balance between deadlines and juggling multiple projects. When being tested with the deadline closing in, I find more creativity comes out.
Question 23. What is your biggest failure? Part A. Tips to answer.
Tip 1. Don't like and say that you have never failed at something. This could quickly turn the interview into a fail. No one is perfect.
Tip 2. Keep the answer on something outside of the workplace if possible. If not, bring up something you were able to fix later.
Tip 3. Avoid mentioning a personal quality which may prevent your performance on the job. Things like procrastination and laziness.
Tip 4. Don't use a failure which may show you're not able to perform the position applying for.
Part B. Answer samples. Looking back at my career, my biggest failure has been not properly preparing myself more with education. I took on courses in college which had no impact on my actual career path, and I had a chance to have extra courses in my career major. It didn't take long into my career to realize I could have prepared better academically. Eventually I decided to go back to school and I finished my MBA. Although, had I put more time in my major rather than electives, the first several years of my career would have been even more productive.
Question 24. How would your boss, supervisors and coworkers describe you? The focus of this question is to find out how you build relationships with your bosses and co-workers, and how you do in a team. I test your personality instead of behavior.
Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1. Remember to be honest. This is important as they will be contacting previous employers.
Tip 2. Provide traits and strengths they may not know already. These include a strong work ethic.
Tip 3. Provide examples with answers when possible. You of course don't want to say everyone enjoys working beside or with you, but several good examples can go a long way.
Part B. Sample answers.
Sample 1. I don't mind helping out in whatever may need done. And you often offer assistance prior to being requested.
Sample 2. I prefer to build relationships with team members as these will be the people I am around for 8 hours a day for years.
Sample 3. When it's appropriate, I enjoy having a little fun. Laugh and keep tension low while retaining a high morale.
Question 25. What sort of person do you not like to work with?
With this question, the interviewer is aiming to find out just how you might fit in with coworkers and supervisor. Depending on your answer, they will consider if you would be a good match and how you and the other workers would get along.
Part A. Tips to answer.
Don't bring up specific characteristics or personality traits. Consider what makes a bad worker and go that path. Use this as your starting point and explain how you make an effort to work out a trouble relationship.
Some tips that you must pay attention to.
1. Avoiding going into detail is best. Don't be too descriptive.
2. Be vague with your answer, so it's not pointing out a certain type of person.
3. Try to show that you'd like to work alongside someone who's similar to you.
Part B. Sample answer. I would like to work with a person who has a similar approach to work as I do, such as planning and organizing then taking action. I also enjoy taking on new tasks. So a manager who would be willing to give me the chance to try new things so I can advance my profession and keep learning. In addition to these, being approachable is always good. Someone who's supportive and can be sensitive, yet a team leader who can provide directions. Question 26. What have you done to improve your skills, knowledge in the last year? Part A. Answer tips.
Tip 1. Try to provide activities which show an improvement relevant to the job you're applying for. A large range of activities can helpful, long as they're good.
Tip 2. Mention you learn from your mistakes and the mistakes of others.
Tip 3. Problem solving can be affected by curiosity. Use non-work related examples such as self-studying or college courses.
Tip 4. Being goal-oriented is a positive thing that interviewers look for. Show them you want to continue to learn.
Part B. Answer samples.
Sample 1. I have friends already in the position who allowed me to observe them during a regular workday, and I was able to practice and learn their responsibilities, along with some of their techniques. Some worked and some didn't.
Sample 2. Each person needs to learn from their mistakes to move forward.
Question 27. Tell me about a challenge or conflict you've faced at work, and how you dealt with it.
Conflict is an everyday thing. It's how conflict is handled that is important. This shows how professional a person can be. And that's what an interviewer is looking for with this question.
Part A. Tips to answer a conflict question.
1. Remember the STAR approach when going into a conflict question.
2. Pick an example that's genuine.
3. Explain that you are able to handle conflicts.
4. Pay attention when explaining how to come out with a win-win.
5. Show them how you customize your approach depending on the person.
6. Elaborate on how you constructively deal with a situation, but avoid examples where you quit or get in a fight.
7. Don't be negative towards anyone, no matter the situation. This includes coworkers, bosses, and customers as well.
8. Keep it short and to the point.
9. Practice your answer, but don't memorize a speech so you still appear genuine.
Part B. Sample answers.
I noticed a coworker having trouble, so I sat down with them to find out what was going on. I let them know I was concerned, and we talked out our biggest issues with each other, and we worked out a compromise. This helped us figure out what we could prioritize, and what could be given up to help both of us move forward.
Question 28. Do you know anyone that works with our company? There are some companies that have policies in place that refer to hiring people who are related to the current employees. If you know you're related to someone there, make sure you understand the policies in place prior to entering the interview. If you do have a friend that works for them, be sure there's a good relationship before mentioning them. Question 29. How long do you want to work for us if we hire you?
The aim of this question is simple. It costs the company money to sit down and go through interviews, but it costs even more to hire someone. They have to pay you, but also pay for training, any required equipment, and so on. They want to know they aren't wasting their time and money to hire someone who's only viewing the position as short-term or temporary.
Ways to answer. Bad answer.
If hired, I'm going to work for a year and then begin applying for school and see if I can get in anywhere.
Good answer.
It's my intentions to stay until I am no longer able to contribute to the growth of the company.
Question 30. Are you willing to work overtime?
Part A. Answer tips.
This is up to you. You know how flexible you can be, but you should also keep in mind that you may need to put in some overtime to get a good job.
Part B. Answer samples. Sample 1.
While I understand there will be times overtime is needed to get a project done and don't happen is.
Sample 2.
If needed, I can work overnight or on weekends to get a job done and leave me with satisfaction of. Question 31. What is your dream job?
This question really has no good answer. It's best to be vague.
Part A. Tips to answer.
When answering, do your best to make it relate to the job you're applying for. You want the interviewer to consider the position a fit for you. Example: if you're applying for customer service, you could respond that your dream job deals with helping customers.
Part B. Ways to answer.
If you simply say the position you applying for is the perfect dream job, this could actually cause the interviewer to see you as less credible. Simply put, they won't believe you. However, if you respond with something not related to the job, they may see you as a high risk for hiring, that you will become dissatisfied with the job.
Part C. Sample answers.
I enjoy interacting with other people and helping them out. So when I look for a job in customer service, I look for the chance to use my communication skills. I enjoy problem solving, and after becoming educated on your products, would like to move into a sales position.
Question 32. Describe your work ethic.
Companies are constantly looking for a more ethical workplace as time goes on. All around the world, companies are hiring for more ethical reasons, and it's being appreciated. And this is why questions related to ethics are likely to come up.
Part A. Answer tips. The employers are looking for the following elements.
1. A positive outline. Because this is top of the priority list when it comes to work ethics, and it helps give workers a way to overcome challenges.
2. Respecting others. When you have good work ethics, you tend to have more respect for co-workers, and discuss things easier.
3. Having interpersonal relationships. This is another key point because it helps provide a better support and feedback system.
4. Understanding approach. This is often an area of interest as it helps eliminate missed deadlines. You need to show that you understand how you will reach your goals.
5. Sensitivity and empathy. These areas are beneficial in work ethics as they allow for the worker to understand and be sensitive to others when needed, and helps empathize when challenges occur.
6. Being honest and sincere. Obviously, they want you to be honest as it helps eliminate surprises down the road.
You should note that, to meet the needs of employers, you are able to give examples of previous situations where you have shown good work ethic and habits.
Part B. Sample answers.
I am a hard-working and dedicated worker. However, I do enjoy to have a little fun so I can enjoy a more positive workplace. At the last job evaluation, my manager stated I've got a good mix of personality and professionalism.
Question 33. What other companies are you interviewing with?
The aim of this question can act as a two-sided sword for some. The company is trying to learn more about you, if you're a competitive candidate, and if you are more likely to get a job offer before they can get back with you.
If you say no, you could be seen as a less desirable option, or that they don't need to be competitive to get you in the position. However, if you say yes and you provide too many details, they could judge you based on who else you're looking into. The best approach is to be short and vague.
Sample answers. Sample 1.
Currently, I am talking about similar positions at a few companies. However, based on what I have learned today, I am more excited about the position in your company.
Sample 2.
I'm applying within many positions with IT consulting firms that will allow me to analyze the client needs and convey them to the development teams to find a solution. Question 34. Are you willing to travel or relocate it if necessary?
If you are not able to relocate at all, you need to be honest and let them know. Although, try to avoid a straight no, because things may change in the future. And things could look a lot different in a month, 6 months, or a year from now. Try to find out what location they may consider for relocation. This gives you an idea on the amount of travel. Then respond.
One method to reply is to be open-minded with your options. Respond with something like "not a problem." This path lets you answer now, and consider the option of relocating later if it's worth it or not.
Another method is to let them know of your reservation. Though mention you're open to the option of relocating or traveling if the right opportunity presented itself. The method you choose for answering all depends on how much you really want to get the job position. The first option is best if you just want in without taking chances.
Question 35. What was the most difficult decision for you to make?
The interviewer is looking for signs of how you handle a difficult situation and what type of decisions you make. They want to know how you react to the challenges and what type of choices you make when under pressure.
Part A. Tips to answer. Tip 1.
Provide 1 or 2 examples of a challenging situation you have had at work and then explain how you handled the situation to correct it.
Tip 2.
Stay positive with your response. You want your answer to be detailed, but positive at the same time. Tell them what and how.
Tip 3.
Refreshing your memory is the best way to prepare for these types of questions. Go over some of your past situations and have some stories ready that will show the times you helped solve a challenging situation.
Part B. Sample answers.
The choices I had to make in my last job position were at times challenging and would require more direct communications with other members of the team in order to get the situation solved. An example is when I was on a project with a limited budget. My fellow team members and I had to decide on how the budget would be used. By using conversations that included the whole group, we were all able to gain better effective communication skills. In the end, the project was a success.
Question 36. Describe a major goal you've set for yourself recently. Tips to answer.
Tip 1. Provide an example that shows an end goal that was set and achieved by both. It's best if this is a goal set in a professional setting, like improving time management or improving sales.
Tip 2. Personal examples may be used if appropriate, but only if it backs up your accomplishments.
Tip 3. Your example should have an outcome that is interesting, something that can show your ability.
Question 37. What will you do if you don't get this job?
When asking this question, they are trying to figure out if you are worried more about the company or simply the opportunity to advance your career.
Part A. Tips to answer.
Tip 1. You want to show that you've got a backup plan, which you will move forward and keep pursuing other options for career growth.
Tip 2. The main point here is to be both passionate and persistent about the position. This lets them know you are interested in the field and industry, not just their company, and that you'll keep trying if not selected.
Part B. Answer sample.
Being committed to both the company and advancement. If I am not picked, I will support the person who is, and work with him. Although, I feel as though with my experience I would make the best candidate for the team and the department. Question 38. What motivates you at the workplace?
Everyone has some kind of motivation. It can be from being around friends, family, or just people in general to hobbies and work. The work environment can affect your motivation in the workplace, as well personal space among other things. These things can help support your goals and help you accomplish them.
The interviewer tends to ask this in order to figure out if you're the type that considers the long term instead of short term.
The best way for you to respond is to show an emphasis on the job requirements being motivators for you, such as the tasks and qualify of the company.
Sample answers.
The constant movement of progress keeps me motivated as it excites me to see new things and ideas come turn out and be implemented. I enjoy a good challenge that makes me think outside of the box, and I look forward to using my skills and talents to advance my work. The quality of leadership is also a factor that helps me stay motivated. Question 39. How do you measure success?
This question has many answers that can be good, including the ability to set realistic but aggressive goals which push your limits and allows you to still achieve the end result.
Going the distance when on a project, and having great client satisfaction. These are all good responses.
Question 40. Describe your management style.
You want to work around giving detailed classifications to these questions. Companies and employers tend to go for those who can adapt their skills to the job in various situations. Not a single style.
The most sought-after managers are the ones who are strong at what they do, but flexible as well. This is what your response needs to show. From here you should describe a couple of the best moments in a manager's situation, such as growing the team from 5 members to 15, or coaching an employee which had underperformed, and them transforming into Employee of the Month.
Sample answers.
I enjoy working with others where I have the chance to motivate and inspire them and the team to reach goals. I am open-minded when it comes to team ideas, and I communicate with the team in order to encourage and support them to share their ideas. I also have a strong belief in discussion when making decisions, and noting the different skills each member can bring to the table. Question 41. Technical interview.
The overall purpose behind any interview is to learn about the candidate and evaluate them, their skills and ability for the position. In order to hire for a system or programming job, the company would need to be sure the candidate has the required qualifications. So they would evaluate their skills in language and coding.
A majority of companies in this field require coding samples and explanations of the code line by on what it's doing.
Some questions for technical interview.
1. Explain what your job description is. 2. How do you approach daily tasks? 3. What are the output results? 4. What tools do you work with in order to complete the task?